The Sacrifice of the Red Heifer, a biblical ritual with modern implications. The sacrifice of the red cow, more precisely known as the red heifer, or parah adumah in Hebrew, ritual, is an ancient purification ceremony described in the Hebrew Bible, Torah. It holds profound religious significance in Judaism, with connections to Christianity, Islam, and contemporary eschatological, end times, prophecies. Below, I'll explain its origins, procedures, historical context, and current developments as of September 2025, drawing from biblical texts and reliable sources. Biblical description and procedure. The ritual is outlined in the Book of Numbers, chapter 19, as a divine commandment given to Moses and Aaron. It addresses ritual impurity caused by contact with death, e.g., touching a corpse, which was a major concern for ancient Israelites to maintain purity for temple worship. The red heifer is unique among biblical sacrifices. It is the only one specifying the animal's color, entirely red, without blemish, performed outside the camp, not at the altar, and involving a female animal. Key requirements and steps. The animal, a red heifer, a young female cow, that is unblemished, without defect, and has never been yoked, used for work, or borne a calf. Even a single non-red hair disqualifies it. This rarity makes it a biological anomaly. Slaughter and burning. The heifer is taken outside the camp and slaughtered by a priest, Eleazar, Aaron's son, in the biblical account. Some of its blood is sprinkled 7 times toward the tabernacle, or temple. The entire body, including hide, flesh, blood, and dung, is burned completely. Cedar wood, hyssop, an herb, and scarlet-dyed wool are thrown into the fire. Ashes preparation. The ashes are collected by a ritually clean person and stored in a clean place. They are mixed with fresh spring water to create water of purification, made chatat. Purification use. The mixture is sprinkled on impure individuals using hyssop on the 3rd and 7th days after impurity. This restores ritual purity. Paradoxically, those handling the ritual, e.g., the priest, become impure themselves and must bathe. This is classified as a chok, a decree without apparent rational explanation, in Jewish tradition, emphasizing obedience to God's command. It's read in synagogues during Shabbat Parah, a special Sabbath before Passover. Biblical reference Numbers chapter 19 verses 1 to 22. Purpose: purify from corpse impurity for temple access. Location: outside the camp/temple, traditionally Mount of Olives overlooking Jerusalem. Key paradox: ashes purify others but defile handlers. Duration of ashes use up to 100 years per batch. Historical context. According to the Mishnah, a key text in Rabbinic Judaism compiling oral traditions, only 9 red heifers were sacrificed from Moses' time, c. 13th century BCE, until the Second Temple's destruction by the Romans in 70 CE. Notable ones include 1. Prepared by Moses. 2. By Ezra, post-exile. 3-6. By Simeon the Just and others. 7-9. By high priests like Elioenai ben Hakayaf. The last known use was around the 4th century CE, possibly during Jeremiah's time. No such sacrifice has occurred since the temple's destruction, as it requires a pure priesthood and temple context. The ritual's ashes were essential for maintaining ritual purity in temple service, and their absence halted many practices. In broader Abrahamic traditions. Islam, the Quran references a similar yellow/saffron-colored heifer in Surah al-Baqarah, 2:67-71, where Moses commands its sacrifice to solve a murder mystery. The chapter is named the cow, al-Baqarah. Christianity, seen as a foreshadowing of Jesus' sacrifice. Hebrews chapter 9 verses 13-14 contrasts the heifer's ashes, outward cleansing, with Christ's blood, inward purification from sin. Jesus was, without blemish, crucified outside Jerusalem, like the heifer, and his death atones for spiritual impurity. Some scholars view it as evolving from an ancient elimination ritual, disposing of impurities, into a formalized sacrifice during the Persian period. c. 5th century BCE, when corpse pollution became a bigger ritual issue. Modern developments and prophetic significance. The red heifer has gained renewed attention due to efforts by Jewish groups to rebuild the Third Temple in Jerusalem, seen by some as a prerequisite for the Messiah's arrival. The Temple Institute, founded 1987, has been central, training over 500 Levite priests and recreating temple vessels. They believe the ritual's ashes are needed to purify Jews for temple service, as most are currently impure due to exile-era interruptions. Key recent events. Importation of heifers. In September 2022, 5 blemish-free red Angus heifers were imported from Texas, USA, to Israel, classified as pets to bypass export laws. Donated by evangelical Christians, e.g., rancher Byron Stinson, they were raised in Shiloh, West Bank, under strict kosher conditions. Rabbis confirmed them suitable at the time. Preparations. A plot on the Mount of Olives was secured for the ceremony, facing the Temple Mount, site of Al-Aqsa Mosque and Dome of the Rock. An altar was built, and rituals practiced, example with cut-out red cows in front of Al-Aqsa in August 2024. Failed sacrifice in 2025. On July 8, 2025, a red heifer was ritually slaughtered in the West Bank as a practice run. However, 2 black hairs were discovered, disqualifying it. The ashes were not used for purification, but the event heightened tensions. Eschatological views. Jewish, the 10th heifer signals the Messiah and temple rebuilding. Radical groups see it as fulfilling Ezekiel and Daniel prophecies. Christian, evangelical link to end times. A third temple must exist for the Antichrist's desecration, Matthew chapter 24 verse 15, 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 verse 4, before Jesus' return. Some view it as a sign of the times, but not required before the rapture. Islamic/Palestinian concerns. Hamas cited the heifers as a motive for the October 7, 2023, attack, viewing the ritual as a pretext for demolishing Al-Aqsa to build the temple. It symbolizes Israeli occupation over holy sites. As of September 4, 2025, no valid sacrifice has occurred since antiquity. The remaining red heifers, now over 3 years old, are monitored. But political sensitivities, e.g., status quo at Temple Mount forbidding Jewish prayer, and rabbinic bans on entering impure sites delay progress. Efforts continue, with some predicting a ceremony around Passover or Shavuot, but experts note ambiguities in texts that could complicate it. Controversies and broader implications. The ritual sparks debate. Geopolitical tensions, seen by Palestinians and Muslims as provocative, potentially escalating conflict over Jerusalem's holy sites. Theological mystery. Rabbis puzzle over its logic, some link it to atoning for the golden calf sin, Exodus chapter 32. Cultural references, featured in media like Michael Chabon's The Yiddish Policeman's Union, the film Red Cow, and even a South Park episode satirizing end times hype. In summary, the red heifer sacrifice is a cornerstone of biblical purity laws, symbolizing atonement and renewal. While no perfect heifer has been sacrificed recently, ongoing preparations reflect deep messianic hopes and risks in the Middle East. For Christians, it underscores Jesus' ultimate sacrifice, rendering such rituals obsolete for salvation, Hebrews chapter 9 verse 14. If you're asking in a prophetic context, it's a fascinating sign but not a definitive timeline for end times.